It isn't enough just to find your prey. You need the tools to catch and kill it. Jaws and claws are familiar weapons. But some predators have developed an extraordinary arsenal to trick, stun, or poison their victims. When it comes to death, wildlife's always inventive. Big cats are natural-born killers. They've got some of the best weaponry in the animal kingdom. Sharp claws help catch the prey. Huge canines do the killing. And back teeth shear the flesh into bite-sized chunks. Each big cat deploys its jaws and claws in a different way, and one of them has an extra weapon up its sleeve. But which one? Lions are among the most successful hunters on the African plains. They have the biggest teeth and claws and hunt in gangs. Opportunists by nature, they'll take on whatever crosses their path. Even small snacks. Using a simple pincer movement, the pride separates this family of warthogs. Powerful forelegs and hooked claws seize the victim. Teamwork like this can bring down a one-ton buffalo, so a piglet makes very easy pickings. With so many lions sharing the kill, scavengers don't get a look in. But solitary cats are at risk from thieves. The leopard has an ingenious solution to this problem. Impressive claws aren't just weapons. They also allow it to hoist large kills up into trees for safe storage. And since it doesn't share its catch, it hunts less often than lions. Its claws are sheathed in skin and only released when needed, like a series of flick knives. Whilst the other cats keep their curved claws razor sharp, the cheetahs are blunt and straight, like a dog's. This doesn't affect its performance. Because the claws are permanently unsheathed, unlike the other cats, they provide traction when it runs. And allow its fragile frame to accelerate and turn quickly. But speed alone doesn't explain the cheetah's hunting success. In fact, this big cat uses a secret weapon. Its dew claw is longer and more curved than the lion's or the leopard's. First, the cheetah's superior speed gets it ahead of the game. Then, it uses its special claw to swipe at the victim and trip it up. Once it has control of the situation, it goes for the throat. holding the windpipe shut until the victim suffocates. So, like the lion and the leopard, jaws and claws are the weapons of choice for the cheetah. But it's the specially developed dew claw that maximizes the success of its light and speedy frame. Like the big cats, jaws and claws have also given this beast the edge. Alligators have such successful weaponry that they've hardly changed since the age of the dinosaurs. Fish stand little chance. Alligators have 80 conical teeth, shaped for grabbing and holding their victim, then ripping it to shreds. Throughout its life, the alligator's teeth fall out and sharp new ones take their place. Unlike the big cat's teeth, they never wear out. So alligators' jaws are always primed to take advantage of new opportunities. Every spring, egrets come to nest at the edge of Florida's swamps. Their arrival doesn't go unobserved. Alligators have bulging eyes on top of their heads, giving them binocular vision, so they can accurately judge the distance between themselves and their potential victims. But if these giant reptiles normally catch their prey in or close to the water, isn't a bird in a tree a bit optimistic? Egrets prefer to nest high above the water in good-sized trees. When the upper roosts are full, all that remain are the low, scrubby branches, sometimes only a meter above the water. At this young age, egrets are shaky on their feet. One false step means certain death. Seeming to work as a team, the alligators use their weight to slam and shake the trees. The egret situation is precarious, but they manage to cling on. Having failed to unbalance the chicks, the alligator reveals the real force behind its fearsome weaponry. An alligator's tail is so powerful that it can propel this huge reptile through the water at over 20 kilometers per hour. But that's not all it can do. The alligator prepares. And with a sudden, immense flick of its tail, launches itself out of the water. the egret stood little chance. These birds face the opposite problem to the alligators. They're in the sky, but their prey is underwater. It's a tough challenge, but it helps to use gravity as a weapon. Gannets can reach speeds of 100 kilometers per hour as they plummet from the sky. These natural dive bombers are well equipped to survive the impact of a 40-meter fall. Their legs tuck in for minimum air resistance. Just before hitting the water, they fling their wings back. Timing is critical. Pull back too early or too late, and they'd crash. But even a perfectly timed dive involves a huge blow to the head. Hitting the water from these heights is like colliding with concrete. They have extremely hard skulls to help take the knocks and come equipped with shock absorbers, special air cells between the neck and shoulders. As the gannet prepares to dive, it gulps in air and the cells inflate. Its streamlined bill is like a spear, cushioned at one end and deadly at the other. With weapons as good as a gannet's, fish are a soft target. But our next creatures have a much tougher problem to crack. The ostrich lays the strongest egg in the world. Even if a grown man stood on it, it still wouldn't break. These big birds have big families. When most of the eggs have hatched, they can afford to leave the ones that haven't and concentrate on their enormous new brood. Of course, these abandoned eggs are at the mercy of all the predators on the savannah. Early morning is the busiest time of day on the African plains. And one of these animals will get egg for breakfast. But which one? This jackal has picked up the scent. Its jaws are strong, but don't open wide enough. so it must give up. And the cheetah has the same problem, so it doesn't even try. A lion, however, has huge jaws, but it lacks the technique to break the tough shell. If a lion can't crack it, then you'd think nothing would stand a chance. Enter an unlikely candidate, the Egyptian vulture. Its beak looks like the obvious weapon, but it's too flexible and not nearly hard enough to break the armored eggshell. For a while, it appears hopeless. Unlikely as it may seem, this bird has worked out a solution. The vulture knows it's important to find exactly the right weapon. The stone must have very sharp edges and be dropped with precision. After half an hour, it finally breaks the tough shell and can at last enjoy the fruits of its labor. The best weapon was a quick-thinking brain. The most obvious weapons aren't always the most useful. These male chameleons have awesome-looking horns. They're good for wrestling bouts over territory, but rarely cause injury. So if horns aren't the chameleon's weapon of choice, how does it attack prey? Blink and you'll miss it. The tongue shoots out at more than 5 meters a second. The tip is pulled into a cup shape. This gives enough suction to secure the prey. The reptile has a range of nearly twice its body length. Muscles alone can't achieve this firepower. A special spring-loaded mechanism is needed. Spiral collagen fibers wrap round a bone inside the tongue and help catapult it outwards. This precision tool allows the chameleon to attack from a distance and catch prey off guard. Our next animal can do this too, but without even touching its victim. What's the secret behind the Butu dolphin's excellent hunting skills? Murky water and little beady eyes aren't a good combination if you live in the Amazon. So this dolphin doesn't rely on sight to find prey. It uses echolocation. The melon on its head is a special tool for sending and receiving sound waves. The dolphin emits high-pitched clicks which bounce off objects in its path. It receives back a three-dimensional soundscape mapping out the river's geography. The clicks also tell it where prey is. But that's not the whole story. Why aren't the fish darting away at the last moment? Once a Butu dolphin detects a target, it brings an invisible weapon into play. The stun gun. Its high-density beam of sound is thought to stun and even kill fish. This technique is believed to be unique to some species of whale and dolphin. But their sonar isn't restricted to finding and killing prey. It also keeps them out of danger, warning them of the invisible fishing nets that crisscross their home. We've caught fish with nets for thousands of years, but we certainly didn't invent the technique. It's copied from a master craftsman. The web is one of the most notorious animal traps. Web-spinning spiders usually have to wait for prey to blunder into their deadly nets. But there is one of these silk weavers that doesn't leave things to chance. Its web may look scruffy, even pitiful, but it poses a very real threat to any insect that walks below. Instead of passively waiting for prey, the spider actively seeks it out. It throws its net and catches the victim with the sticky threads. The more the prey struggles, the more it becomes entangled. With terrifying speed and efficiency, the spider wraps the insect in yet more silk. Finally, a venomous bite paralyzes the victim and starts to liquefy its tissues. Eventually, it will be sucked dry. Web building may be unique to spiders. Dealing a deadly bite isn't. Chemical warfare is the tool of choice for our next predator. Africa's Gaboon viper. It has the longest fangs of any snake, more than 5 centimeters. They're hinged and fold back against the roof of the mouth. Just before striking, they're swung out and down. Rats and other small creatures are a favorite prey. So why does the Gaboon viper need such enormous fangs? The snake's markings camouflage it amongst the leaves and dappled light. It spends much of its time motionless, waiting for prey to cross its path, but will also hunt out a meal if there's a taste in the air. The viper's highly directional scent organs pick up the rat's odor, and it homes in. The snake may appear sluggish, but it strikes its victim with amazing speed. The fangs are brought forward, stabbing down deep into the rat's body. They impale the heart and flood it with poison. The venom destroys the rat's blood cells and vessels in a matter of minutes. It seems like overkill on small prey, but there is a reason. The Gaboon viper's venom is weak, so it needs big fangs to inject large amounts. It's quantity, not quality, that makes the snake's weapons so deadly. If fangs are a frontline method of delivering poison, another African predator brings up the rear guard. From its vice-like claws to the tip of its venom-loaded sting, The scorpion sports a stunning armory. The pincers grasp the prey, then the tail is brought over its back and used like a hypodermic syringe. Paralysis is swift. The bulbous tip contains 2 sacs of toxic venom, which is delivered through a hollow, needle-sharp curved spine. The scorpion's venom is potentially fatal to anything that crosses its path. But it's not after big game. It prefers insects. This cockroach doesn't realize that every step it takes creates minute seismic vibrations. Sensitive hairs on the scorpion's legs feel the shock waves and alert it to an approaching victim. Following the tremors, the scorpion stalks the prey until it's within reach. Its ambush set, it lies in wait. But something went wrong. Another nighttime hunter was on the prowl. The massive ears of this bat-eared fox also detected the cockroach and led it straight to the scorpion just as it prepared to attack. The scorpion was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The fox bites off the venomous sting very carefully. What seemed like a perfectly placed chemical weapon is actually the scorpion's Achilles heel. Stuck out on its own, it's hard to defend. The fox may have small teeth, but what it lacks in jaw power, it makes up for in speed. The Komodo dragon has no venom, but it's just as deadly as a viper or scorpion. So how does it kill? Is it simply a question of size? Armor-plated skin? Claws for tearing flesh? And a long, muscular tail. This creature is built like a tank. The deer are right to be anxious, but not for the reason you'd expect. Dragons don't bring down prey like lions do. They have a different approach. They prefer prey that's already dead and use their forked tongues to scent it out. Rotten, decaying flesh is the dish of choice for this giant lizard. It wastes nothing. Bones, intestines, hide, even hooves are eaten. But unlike most scavengers, Komodos don't rely on stealing meat caught by other predators. They kill the prey themselves. Their truly deadly weapon is their mouth. Each tooth harbors scraps of meat from the Komodo's last meal. Their poor dental hygiene encourages a seething mass of deadly microbes in the saliva. One nip from a Komodo sets off a time bomb of infection. The saliva will kill it in a week. The Komodo has location on its side. Its island home is only 40 kilometers long and 20 kilometers wide. So its doomed victim can't go far. Once dead, the aroma of rotting flesh draws the crowds. The muscles of the Komodo's jaws and throat allow it to swallow huge chunks of meat. The bigger the dragon, the faster it gorges. Amazingly, the Komodo's bite is not toxic to other Komodos. Dragons wounded in battle are unaffected by the otherwise deadly bacteria. The Komodo's victims are long dead by the time they are eaten. But our next predator eats prey that's still alive. Ladybirds eat aphids, and aphids can't fight back. Each beetle devours up to 75 of these sapsuckers in a single day, 5,000 in a lifetime. It's got the perfect weapons for piercing a green fly's soft, juicy body. 2 pairs of long, sharp jaws. There's 1 pair to grasp the aphid, and a sickle-shaped pair to slice the victim through. But while it steadily munches through an entire community of aphids, it's unaware it's on someone else's menu. A ladybird's bright warning colors tell predators it's poisonous. Even predators which call its bluff stand little chance, since it can always fly away. So it appears that the ladybird has every angle covered. Or does it? This one is suffering a living death. But where's its killer? To find the murderer, we must journey back almost a month. This tiny parasitic wasp isn't interested in eating the ladybird. But she is after food for her children. Since the wasp is so small, the ladybird doesn't sense the peril it's in. The wasp's tail is doubly dangerous. It's both sting and egg tube. After implanting a single egg, the wasp departs. Oblivious to the time bomb inside it, the ladybird continues to eat. A week later, the horror begins. The egg hatches into a grub that eats its host from the inside. Once the beetle is immobilized, the larva begins to break out. It spins a cocoon of silk between the ladybird's legs. And uses the red warning color of the shell for its own protection. Finally, the young wasp emerges. It's over a month since the egg was laid. In relation to lifespan, this wasp must be one of nature's slowest assassins. The wasp kills its victim eventually. These innocent-looking birds use their weapons to torture their victims indefinitely. And whilst their beaks look harmless enough, they have a grisly function. This is a vampire, a Galapagos vampire finch. It lands on the backs of larger birds, pecking relentlessly at their flesh until they bleed. These masked boobies are oblivious to the little bloodsucker that hops amongst them. Once the blood begins to flow, the vampire drinks it up. This gruesome habit gives the finch both food and water, a real lifesaver during the driest months of the year. Adult birds can survive the vampire's onslaught, but their chicks are dangerously vulnerable. The finch prefers to keep its prey alive, though it doesn't always succeed. But there is an animal that's taking blood-sucking to another level. Vampire bats emerge from the dark caves and tree hollows in South America. Like the Butu dolphin, they find prey using echolocation. Then, special heat sensors in their nose guide them to the richest veins. Using their razor-sharp Dracula fangs, the bats make tiny triangular cuts in the skin. Their slumbering prey hardly feels a thing. The bat has another secret weapon, a special cocktail of chemicals in its saliva. An anesthetic numbs the area, and an anticoagulant stops the blood from clotting. So the blood keeps flowing while the victim dreams on. If vampire bats don't drink blood at least every other night, they die. But they're highly social and often regurgitate food for a starving neighbor. So these fearsome vampires don't just keep their victims alive, they keep each other from death's door too. Wherever you look in the natural world, there's an amazing array of armory. From the most obvious to the surprisingly subtle. From chemical injections to biological warfare. Some devices are used instinctively. Others require intelligent thought. And then there are those that keep their victims alive day after day. Surely the grisliest use of weapons in raw nature. Molten lava shoots 50 stories into the air. Rocks the size of buses crash to the ground. Our restless planet is a dramatic mix of ice and fire. Creatures that live in these extremes need to be hardy. One wrong move and efforts to survive are in vain. In the heart of Africa, rich vegetation cloaks the mountains. This tranquil scene masks a hidden killer. Death hangs over an eerie graveyard. All who come here to graze die. The smell of carcasses is attractive to this Nile monitor. The lizard's taste buds are excited by the scent of death. But is it making a lethal mistake? As the scavenger approaches its meal, things quickly turn sour. It gasps for breath as though overcome by an invisible force. What has attacked this lizard? Can it survive the hidden killer? To understand, we must wind back the clock. These are the Virungas, mountains with a fiery temperament. Even when calm, these volcanoes can kill. It's the morning of the Monitor's fateful trip. There's a strange mist over the low-lying land. This is the deadly breath of the volcano, pure carbon dioxide. Any living creature that breathes it will suffocate. In the cold of the morning, the deadly, odorless gas clings to the ground. The Monitor is driven by hunger. If only it could wait till the sun burns off the terrible mist. But the temptation is too great. With each breath, its lungs fill with carbon dioxide, making it gasp uncontrollably. Its tongue turns blue as it starts to suffocate. Just before the lizard loses consciousness, its luck changes. It raises its head above the level of the gas. By pure chance, it escapes the volcano's lethal breath. When a volcano really blows its top, nothing will stand in its way. The effect is devastating. But eruptions aren't all destruction. Volcanic ash makes the soil highly fertile, and burnt-out cones provide sanctuary for fleeing animals. The volcano has provided a lifeline in this world of fiery extremes. It's not just volcanoes that start fires. Australia's Red Centre is an inferno waiting to happen. Plants scorched by desert heat fuel the flames. Animals must run or hide. Not all of them make it. So how does anything survive when life can be snuffed out in seconds? The answer is plants. In this place of extremes, the plants must spread their bets. They produce millions of seeds that remain dormant for many years, waiting for rain. Plants that cling on here need to be tough. And they are. Spinifex is the meanest of all. Its leaves are packed with silica, as sharp as glass. If that doesn't deter predators, it also secretes resin. Even so, Spinifex supports a community of tenacious creatures. These Spinifex ants have found an ingenious way of using it to get food. They use the plant's defensive resin as cement to build tubes of sand in which they house lerps. Lerps hardly look like animals. They're actually sap-sucking insects, and the ants store them head to tail in the tubes. The lerps suck the Spinifex sap and excrete honeydew, which the ants eat. Without the lerps to tap the plant's potential, the ants simply couldn't survive in this land of extremes. The Spinifex discourages visitors. The mulga tree actively encourages them. It produces nectar for mulga ants. In return, they protect the tree from other hungry insects. But these ants don't digest the nectar. They carry it deep into their nests in a bizarre division of labor. The nectar is collected by worker ants, who in turn pass it on to yet more ants, whose abdomens swell until they're too fat to move. They just hang from the ceiling. They've become living honeypots called repletes. Eventually, the repletes regurgitate the nectar to feed the growing ant larvae. Ants can't feed directly on the glass-like Spinifex, but these termites can. Highly specialized microorganisms in their gut digest the tough plant. Yet again, Spinifex holds the key to survival. Termites live in complex, sculptured homes. These mounds keep the termites cool, crucial in the intense desert heat. But the mound offers limited protection from the weird-looking echidna, an unusual egg-laying mammal. The tip of the echidna's nose detects tiny electrical signals in an insect's body, so it can home in on termites. The termites raise the alarm and try to repair their defenses. Nearby ants take advantage and attack. The ants kill the termites with formic acid and stockpile their carcasses. Later, they will use them to feed their young. Fire, heat and drought. Australia's red centre is unrelenting. But tough plants unlock its potential, supporting insects, echidnas, and thorny devils. Ants feed on spinifex, and thorny devils feed on ants. This unusual lizard has an incredible way of drinking. With its skin. Tiny grooves take up water by capillary action. The lizard's gulps move the water along these grooves into its mouth. In our next extreme environment, there's not even a puddle to quench your thirst. Africa's Namib Desert. One of the world's driest places. Continuous winds mold shifting dunes, some over 300 meters high. To survive this desert, creatures need to be well designed. They must keep cool and conserve water at all costs. Big animals have a big problem. A large body can get very hot. Fortunately, an oryx's body temperature can reach 45 degrees Celsius before it even begins to pant. If humans get to 43 degrees, they die. It's important the brain doesn't overheat, so a special network in the oryx's nose cools the blood. Oryx really have to find water. They get most of their moisture from plants. Large hooves stop them sinking into the shifting sands. In this barren environment, there are no water holes. How can you get a drink when you need one? This beetle has a cunning answer. Early in the morning, fog rolls in from Africa's Atlantic coast. The fog condenses on plants and animals. It's their only chance of a drink. When water's scarce, every drop is precious. The fog-stang beetle finds a high dune and points it back to the oncoming mist. Water condenses on its shell and dribbles into its mouth. The web-footed gecko also drinks condensed fog from its body. The gecko's webbed feet spread its weight over the unstable grains. Fine, wind-blown sand is loose, so there's not much traction. Not only do desert dwellers have to contend with extremes of heat and lack of water, they also face death from below. It's a golden mole swimming through the dunes. Ripples betray the movements of another sand swimmer, a legless lizard. The lizard is dragged to its death. There are other ways of crossing sand. A Namib sidewinder has its own way of coping with the heat. The surface temperature can reach a blistering 65 degrees Celsius. Too long in one place and the snake will cook. So it minimizes contact with the sand. At any one time, only 2 loops of its body touch the burning surface. As the day goes by, the heat of the sun dries out any moisture left in the sand, loosening the surface even more and making it harder for the snake to move. So, the sidewinder stops and buries itself. Only a centimeter below the surface, the temperature can be 10 degrees cooler. This shovel-nosed lizard has a more showy way of dealing with extreme heat. It dances, lifting its feet in sequence to cool them off in the desert breeze. The sidewinder is lying in ambush. A lightning-fast strike, a dose of lethal venom, and the hunt is over. Different snake, different desert, same problem. Like the Namib sidewinder, the sidewinder rattlesnake has evolved an identical way of crossing hot dunes. This is the Mojave, one of North America's most hostile and complex deserts. Temperatures here vary widely. Winters and nights are freezing. Summer days are hot and dry. Hostile environments mean extreme animals, and few are as extreme as this unlikely bird. The roadrunner, which often kills rattlesnakes. Roadrunners rarely fly, but they can run at up to 27 kilometers per hour. Meat contains a lot of water, so roadrunners seldom drink. They reabsorb water from their feces and get rid of salt through nasal glands. In the morning, the sun is an ally. The roadrunner exposes its dark skin and feathers to help absorb the rays. As the sun sets, temperatures drop. Animals are at risk from the cold. Small creatures use burrows to shelter from the Mojave's extremes. While this kangaroo rat was sleeping, it was actually recycling water. Its breath rehydrates its seed store. It concentrates its urine so it's 5 times stronger than ours. We can only survive for 3 days without water. The snake and the roadrunner have to drink occasionally, but this tough little rodent never does. Kangaroo rats are superbly adapted to the extremes of the Mojave Desert. But our next place has heat, drought, and worse. Salty environments are extremely hostile. Salt makes water undrinkable. But some salty plains can be home to amazing birds. Africa's Lake Bogoria, a desert in the dry season, a salty pool in the wet. The saline waters attract massive flocks of flamingo, which carpet the lake in pink. Flamingos don't come here to drink. They use freshwater pools elsewhere. They come for another reason. This salty water is full of food. The birds stamp on the bottoms of the shallow lagoons. Their webbed feet stir up shrimp and algae. Waving their beaks from side to side, they filter out the tiny creatures. Slowly, the burning heat of the sun evaporates the water from the pan. The lake becomes saltier. What's left is soda crystal mud, a sticky trap for flamingo chicks. The salt builds up, weighing them down like a ball and chain. It's a lingering death. But the flamingos will be back after the rains refill the lake. Some salt pans never have a wet season. This hostile place really deserves its name. Death Valley. Temperatures soar above 50 degrees Celsius in the summer. Rainfall is blocked by the Sierra Nevada mountains to the west. There are less than 5 centimeters of rain each year. It's always hot, dry, and salty. The ground is cracked and scaly. Nothing can survive these salt crusts. The only water here is trapped in small pools, 3 times saltier than the sea. But even here, life has found a way. Algae, simple plants, grow in this saline solution. Hot springs heat the water to 37 degrees Celsius, concentrating the salt and driving out the oxygen. Amazing fish live here too. They're desert pupfish, among the rarest animals in the world. Some pools hold separate species, so if the pool dries up, that species becomes extinct. The algae is the only food, so that's what they eat. Yet again, a plant is the key to life at the extreme. But how can the pupfish survive hotter and saltier water than any other creature on Earth? Because special proteins in their bodies resist damage from heat shock. So it's possible to survive in Death Valley if there's water. But there are places where no amount of water can bring forth life. Some salt deserts are completely barren. Endless wind and sun and earthquakes have sculptured this land of pure desolation. This is the island of Hormuz near Iran, rightly known as the Gates of Hell. The island is 85% salt. The water here is 10 times saltier than the sea, and there are no springs. But water does appear. How? Because at night, the rocks absorb hundreds of liters of water from the humid air. A small amount of fresh water condenses on the rocks, and this trickles down. The water doesn't stay fresh for long. During the day, continual evaporation concentrates the salt. But on rocky fringes, salt-tolerant plants tough it out. They guard precious water by coating their small leaves with wax. Most of the island is devoid of life. The mineral red ochre turns the shoreline to blood. It looks uninviting, but in fact the seashore is less hostile than the rest of the island. Strange animals survive between the salty sea and the even saltier land. Fiddler crabs sift algae from the mud. They're hunted by this very unusual fish, one that can live on land, the mud skipper. Mud skippers breathe air and can walk with their fins. Their eyes are on top of their heads so they can spot food from several meters away. Hormuz Island is so hostile because the salt traps all the water. In other extremes, the water is also trapped, but for a different reason. A blanket of snow covers a white, frozen landscape. Howling winds and freezing sleet tear across snow-swept plains. How can any living thing survive here? Temperatures plummet to minus 50 degrees Celsius, freezing the blood in seconds. This is the Arctic, the most northerly place on Earth. A mother polar bear desperately tries to revive her dying cub. A male bear slowly approaches. Despite her best efforts, the cub seems still, almost lifeless. What has led to the cub's plight? A year earlier, it's early spring. After 4 months of darkness, light has returned to the Arctic. female polar bear emerges from her den, followed by 2 small cubs. She's sheltered underground since late October and gave birth in December. The mother's fur is stained yellow from the milk she's fed her hungry cubs. She cleans herself with snow. In this monochrome landscape, being white is the best camouflage. Across the ice floe, a lone male bear has smelt food. With a body weight of 400 kilos and paws 30 centimeters across, he can smash through the ice to find prey. This ringed seal can only watch. She'd left her pup in a chamber beneath the ice while she looked for food. The male tears at the fat, rich blubber and skin. An adult bear usually eats 1 seal every 7 days. But he's not the only hungry one. The mother's lost half her body weight during hibernation. She needs to replenish her fat supplies as soon as possible. She's spent 2 weeks near the mouth of the den, acclimatizing her cubs to the bitter cold. Now, they must move on in search of a meal. Polar bears can cover up to 1,000 kilometers a year looking for food. They need a big hunting area. Only 1 in 50 attempted seal kills is successful. The cubs will stay with their mother for another year. The family continue their relentless search for food. The snow squall turns into a raging Arctic storm. One of the cubs, weakened by the cold, lags behind. The mother shows the cubs how to burrow into the snow to escape the worst of the blizzard. The bear's thick fur traps body heat against the skin, but the smaller you are, the harder it is to keep warm. After the storm's passed, the mother tries to revive her weaker cub. The male is approaching. The mother's wary. Males sometimes kill cubs. But it's too late. The mother eventually gives up her dead cub. 6 out of 10 polar bear cubs die in their first year, victims of starvation, predation, accidents, or the bitter cold. It may seem cruel, but the male must eat anything he can to survive the bleak conditions. Miss this opportunity, and he could miss out on fathering many more cubs. Further south, the Arctic tundra, another freezing expanse of land trapped in ice. The flickering northern lights punctuate 3 months of wintry darkness. The sun doesn't rise above the horizon until February. There's no life to be seen. But in springtime, the tundra comes alive. It looks idyllic, but it's not. This extreme environment leads to some extreme behavior. A red-breasted goose has found a nest site. But look at the neighbors. Is this really a wise place to start a home? Why would this defenseless bird choose to live next to killers? To understand this, we need to understand the fragile balance of life in the tundra. The red-breasted geese arrive looking for mates and a place to lay eggs. But the Arctic is packed with predators. Snowy owls, falcons, and Arctic foxes all live here. These hunters are also breeding and have hungry mouths to feed. Rather than eat geese, there's an alternative: the Arctic lemming. They're prolific. Females have up to 8 babies every 5 weeks, and these young lemmings can start breeding before they're fully grown. With only a small window of opportunity to grab these furry snacks, it's time for predators to stock up, or even overstock. Snowy owls rely on lemming kills. No lemmings means no chicks. Enthusiastic males can bring too many back to the nest, where they just lie and rot. But hunters can be hunted. Both owls and falcons are vulnerable to Arctic fox raids. They'll die from any animal bold enough to wander into their nesting area. This fierce protection of their young benefits another bird. The red-breasted goose. It's also vulnerable to fox attack, so this is why it nests right among killers. The geese get protection, but what's to stop the falcon and the owl snatching an easy meal? During the breeding season, birds of prey don't hunt on their doorstep. They look further afield. The closer the geese nest, the safer they are. It's a two-way relationship. Watchful geese make an excellent burglar alarm. When the owl and falcon chicks mature, the truce is over. Overnight, goose is back on the menu. And when this happens, it's time to pack up and make a getaway. It was a forced friendship, forged by extreme surroundings. we've seen ice. What happens when these extremes meet? Snow fills a wintry landscape, but things aren't as bleak as they seem. A secret warmth allows creatures to survive despite the cold. This is America's Yellowstone National Park. Intense heat from the Earth's molten core causes water to boil beneath the ice. Is this another gate to hell? Superheated water rises up through the soft limestone. It's in conditions like this that life began on Earth. This is no place for weaklings. In these pools, only bacteria can survive. Everything else gets boiled alive. Yet, because of its volatile heart, Yellowstone can temper nature's extremes. Ice, studded with bubbling springs, is the winter hangout for Yellowstone otters. These hot pools leave windows so otters can fish all the year round. They have special fur to keep them warm. Long outer hairs protect a dense underlayer that traps air for insulation. Halfway across the world, Japan is also in the grip of winter. Japanese cranes gather for their graceful courtship dances. They can fly away to escape cold and find food. But how do Japanese macaques survive here? No other primate apart from humans lives this far north. And we have shelter and clothing to protect us. These monkeys survive by using natural hot tubs. The temperature is a cozy 40 degrees. As with Yellowstone's otters, hot springs give respite from snow and ice. The hot tubs don't just keep the frost out, they're good for social life too. The monkeys can groom and relax at the same time. But what happens when the monkeys get out? Don't they freeze to death? It seems not. Like otters, they have a double layer of fur. The outer layer dries almost immediately because they've absorbed so much heat, and the thick inner layer is coated with oil. So it probably never got wet. These intelligent monkeys have learned to cope with bitter cold. They use the Earth's natural warmth. Extreme places demand extreme adaptations. The price for failure is death. Hostile conditions mean a fragile existence. Plants and animals depend on each other for survival. Brutal landscapes make for specialized and bizarre creatures. When it's too salty, too cold, or too hot, raw nature can survive the extremes.